There was once a movie reviewer on YouTube who would put out a new review every Sunday, letting the people know which movies were worth their time and which movies can properly go f*** themselves, letting nothing get to his cold, unfeeling heart, because he had one mission: tell the people the truth so they don't fall victim to these terrible movies. But it has been an entire month since he last posted, and many movie studios thought he was done, gone, so they can go ahead and release more rebooted cash grab movies. But little did they know, he was always watching, and now there is a new release that is set to further destroy a beloved film franchise, and he can no longer tolerate it. So now he's coming for them, and there is no bargaining with him. There is no reasoning with him, because he feels no pity, he feels no remorse, and he will absolutely not stop until he's destroyed these abominations. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Lazy Sunday Review, and God, I've missed you, my lovely weekend warriors. I hope your weekends have been good to y'all, and if not, sit back, relax, and let me entertain you for a moment. Okay, so let's set the scene. It is 1984, and James Cameron had just released one of the greatest action sci-fi movies of all time, and fans ate it up. It was a movie about a machine from the future hell-bent on murdering Sarah Connor, who holds the key to the future of mankind in her unborn son, John Connor. It was action-packed, intense, and freaking badass, and of course, a sequel was pretty much inevitable, but come on, how could you ever hope to top that? And top it they sure as hell did, because Terminator 2 Judgment Day is the greatest action movie of all time. Change my mind. This movie kicks so much ass, with Sarah Connor finally becoming the deadly warrior she was meant to be. It had action, humor, and a lot of heart that by the end of the movie, it left our heroes victorious on the road to a bright and hopeful future. Yeah, that future was actually just pretty grim, as now this weekend's movie looks to hopefully fix that or just put the final nail in the coffin. Let's get into this one. Terminator Dark Fate, and yeah, that's a pretty accurate title for this movie. Starring Mackenzie Davis, Linda Hamilton, Natalia Reyes, Gabriel Luna, and of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger coming back yet again as the Terminator. Terminator Dark Fate is about Reyes' character Danny, who lives in Mexico with her brother. They both work in a car factory building cars until one day Grace, a cybernetically enhanced soldier from the future, is sent back to protect Danny from a Terminator that was sent to kill her. Yeah, pretty original, huh? But they can't do it alone, as conveniently Sarah Connor shows up to save them from the Terminators. And now she wants to help Grace stop the Terminator from killing Danny, because Danny now holds the key to humanity's success against the new machines. Oh, and they also have Arnold for additional help, and I won't go too deep into that because, you know what, the movie doesn't really care about him that much either. So here we are at another sequel to the franchise, because I mean, hey, if your sequels are getting progressively worse with each installment, the best idea is to just kind of like, keep pumping them out, and eventually one of them's bound to be a hit, right?
Supply? Demand? Dude, do you realize what we just did? We used econ.
And this one's getting a lot of flack because they decided to follow the same marketing route that Ghostbusters and Captain Marvel so eloquently established. But I mean, despite all of that, how was the movie? Well, let's get into the positives. Okay, so there is so much I want to say about this movie, but I can't because that would require me to spoil it for you guys. So I'm going to do my best to give this movie a fair review. But oh man, I just want to spoil this thing. Okay, so I look at this movie in two ways, as a standalone action movie and as a Terminator film. So as a standalone film, it's pretty well directed, like the action sequences. Some of the fight scenes are actually pretty cool. I mean, how could we be surprised? Tim Miller is no newcomer to directing entertaining action sequences thanks to Deadpool. So when Grace, the soldier sent from the future to protect Danny, played by Davis, goes toe-to-toe with Luna's character, it's very entertaining. And that has to do with the fact that the performances were not egregious. There were actually some pretty solid performances with the exception of Reyes, but I'll get back into that later. But I was surprised that Linda Hamilton still had a lot of charisma. She actually did a pretty good job with what she was given, but I mean, she could have done this a little bit better.
I'll be back.
God, she sounds so bored. Almost 30 years and this is what you come back with?
I'll be back.
Arnold was also really good in here. They did something new with him that I thought had some merit. You know, they decided to actually make his character more comedic. We've had comedic moments, but damn it, this was like really funny. And I tried hard not to laugh just because of how the movie made me feel, but Arnold just hits all of his jokes with crazy precision and I couldn't help myself. I mean, he was freaking hilarious in this movie. Now, he still has his badass moments, but I think it was just a unique idea and it worked in some cases. And I think we all owe Mackenzie Davis at least a little apology, because from what I've seen in teasers, she really didn't look like she belonged in a movie like this. Her only other performance I've seen her in was in Ridley Scott's 2015 space adventure, The Martian, where she played NASA girl? Let's just say she was so forgettable in that movie that I don't even really know why she was in it. So to come from that and to be almost front center in a big blockbuster such as this one, she had some really big shoes to fill, and you know what? She did okay. She actually showed way more emotion than I thought she would, and of course she handled the action really well. She had really good physicality that when I saw her get into these action moments, she was really believable as an enhanced soldier from the future. She provided a little more depth to her character, and I really like how the movie producers handled her abilities and limited them as well. So as a standalone movie, it's fine. But as a Terminator movie, this is where it fails, because this is what the writers of this movie pretty much told every fan of the original two films.
Fuck yeah!
Fuck you! Oh my god, this is where, if you're a fan of those films, I would want to tell you to stay away from this one, because the first few minutes of this movie, just as I'm sitting down and getting ready, they give us the biggest slap in the face and I damn near walked out. So I'd say the biggest issue I had with the film was the story. The movie was just so underdeveloped because it sought to change things the first two films did, just to try to raise up the new narrative that this movie is trying to push. And this is where I get back to Natalia Reyes, because God, she sucked! This block of wood is now being hailed as the new Sarah Connor, which really sucks because she is just a deep void that sucks all of the charisma from the scene. This girl cannot act to save her life, and oh man, you really can see it when she's standing next to Arnold and Linda Hamilton. They just act circles around this girl, and the script really doesn't do her any favors, as Danny is honestly the least interesting character in this movie because we get no time to really develop who she is, what she wants, what drives her. And they had some solid ideas to play with each character, but they don't explore it any further, or they just pretty much skip ahead, robbing us of the ability to really understand and fall in love with these characters. And here we go again with the same freaking type of evil Terminator. I just don't know why all the writers of the Terminator franchise have such a hard-on for the T-1000. You are dealing with killer robots from the future. Have some freaking creativity! Rather than giving us the same damn Terminator, you're not fooling anyone, okay? With it being different than the others, because it is exactly the same thing. But that's fine, because we also have to talk about the CGI. In some cases it looked good, but in most parts it looked pretty ugly. I mean, was I watching the Terminator or the fight of the rubber people? How are we in 2019 and CGI looks this fake? Hell, this movie made me go out and buy T2 to kind of reminisce on what made that movie so good, and of course I bought that sucker in 4K because I'm a baller. And holy cannoli, the effects still hold. I mean, it's because that movie had more practical effects and it relied minimally on CGI. Right here we have an overabundance of CGI and very little practical effect, and that's what we're missing nowadays, is that practicality. Take some risks and make something real. So with all of that being said, I'm giving Terminator Dark Fate an F+. Look, this movie looked to rewrite the history of the franchise, and in order to do that, you need to justify why you're doing what you're doing. But to throw out the same recycled storyline with a slight change at the detriment of beloved characters, retconning everything they've learned to this point and making it irrelevant is incredibly disappointing. And to me, that's it. The franchise stops at T2, and the other movies don't exist.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Well, that's it for the review, you guys, but let's talk about it. Did you see Terminator Dark Fate? Did you love it? Or did you just want to Thanos snap this sucker out of existence? Leave your comments in the comment section down below, and if you like my reviews, subscribe to my channel and turn on your notifications so that way you'll get alerts anytime I release a new review. Thanks again, you guys, for joining me, and I hope you have an amazing rest of the weekend. I'll see you next time.
Really not supposed to be touching things in here unless you're supposed to be touching things in here.
You're adorable.
Jane, is that you flirting with a handsome nerd?